Case 8.2, using random samples to describe populations. So we know that when we want to draw conclusions on data, that when we do a survey, it is best to use large samples that are random, right? So here we have a situation where we have you and a group of friends who want to know how many students in your school prefer pop music. You have 840 students in your school, and each person in your group is going to randomly survey 20 people. And here are the results that you all found. Okay, so we want to then use each sample, each row, to estimate the number of students in our school who prefer pop music. Remember, to estimate, we take what we found. For instance, for you, you found 13 of your 20 surveyed like pop music, and that happens to be 0.65, meaning 65% of the students you surveyed like pop music, and then you would then assume that 65% of the 840 students in your school also like pop music, and you can calculate that out by what? 0.65 times 840, and that ends up being 546. Okay, so you can do that for each of your friends, and you will all come up with your own estimates. 546 is what you calculated, 336, 420, 420, and 378, meaning find the percentage of students that you surveyed that like pop music and multiply that by the number of students in your school. All right, so there we have all that calculated out right here. And now we're going to use this data and we're going to find the measure of center and the variation. Okay, so in this situation for the measure of center, we're going to use the median. Median, remember, you find it by ordering all your data points from smallest to largest. So we have 336 all the way up to 546. And then you find the very center. In this case, we have an odd number of data points, so we have an exact center. Our measure of center, the median is 420. Okay? All right. Center of a data set is also referred to as the median in this case. Now, for the variation, we're going to use the range of our data set, meaning what's the difference between the largest and the smallest data point. Okay, happens to be 210. Okay, so variation is referred to as range, and you find it by taking the largest and subtracting the smallest. Also, when we're looking at statistics, we also want to estimate an average of a population. So in this example here, we did a survey. We surveyed 6 schools, and we randomly chose 10 students who have part-time jobs at those schools, and we asked them how many hours they worked each week. Okay, so with that data, we want to estimate the mean number of hours students with part-time jobs work each week. And then we're going to describe the variation of that estimate. So for this example here, what is mean? Mean is the average. Remember, average is what? You add up all the numbers and divide by how many numbers you added up. So if we were to add up all the hours in school A, we would find that would be a 70. And then to find the average, we divide it by how many we surveyed, which was 10 people. So on average, at school A, students work 7 hours a week. Okay, and you could do the same thing for school B. You would find if you added up all these in school B, it would be 73. And if you divided it by the number of students you surveyed, which is 10, you would see that their average is 7.3. Okay, so for each of them, you would do that for A, B, C, D, E, and F. So we found that. Now we want to describe the variation of the estimates. And again, variation was what? Range. Variation is range. And range is the largest number. And if I were to calculate all these out, the largest one is going to be 9. And that's this one here. Their average is 9. So 9, which is the largest, we're going to subtract the smallest, which happens to be, oh, look, this one. Their average here, oops, in school D is 5. So 9 minus 5, the largest minus the smallest is 4. So our estimates have a range of 4 hours, right? The difference between the largest and the smallest is 4 hours. Okay, so now we can use all this data. See here is the mean for each of those schools, right? Remember I said 9 minus 5, the largest minus the smallest gave us the range. Okay, but we want to use all 6 samples to make one estimate for the mean number of hours students with a part-time job works each week. So what you would do is you could take all these data points, add them all up, which is the same as adding all these, right? 70, 73, 77, 50, 80, and 90. And that happens to be 440. And how many students did we survey, or how many numbers are we adding up? 60. So 440 divided by 60 ends up being 7.3 repeating. So we estimate that students with part-time jobs work about 7.3 repeating hours per week. All right, now it's time to write in your notes, and all you have to do is fill in the blank for center, variation, and mean. Remember, mean is the same as average, right? Okay, there is one practice problem you need to do, but it has multiple parts. Okay, in this practice problem, you and a group of friends want to know how many students in your school prefer popcorn. There are 500 students in your school, and each person in your group is going to randomly survey 25 students, and these are the results that you found. Okay, so you need to fill in the table and make an estimate based on your findings. You want to estimate the number of students in your entire school who prefer popcorn. So you're going to use the percentage that you found and multiply that by the number of students in your school. So for instance, for you found 9. 9 out of the 25 students preferred popcorn. And 9 divided by 25 ends up being 0.36, meaning 36% of the students you surveyed prefer popcorn. So if you apply this 36% to the total number of your school, meaning you estimate that 36% of the entire school likes popcorn, that would tell you that 180 students, you estimate that 180 students in your school likes popcorn. Now you do the same thing for friend A, friend B, and friend C, meaning 11 over 25 times 500, and that will give you the estimate for friend A. Okay, now once you have all that data, you're going to describe the center and the variation. Okay, in here it says mean, but we're not going to do that. Okay, so just the measure of center and variation. Now to find the measure of center, you're going to use median. And to use median, you're going to line up all your values pretend it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4 data points, and you're going to find the median. So you're going to order it from smallest to greatest and find the very center. But look at this. You have two numbers in the very center. So in order to find the median of this data set, you're going to have to take the average of the two center numbers. Okay, and that will be your median. Okay, a lot of times in your data set, if it's an odd number of data set, you're going to have an exact center. But in this case, we don't have an exact center. We have two numbers in the center, so we need to find the average or the mean of the two center numbers. Okay, that's finding the measure of center. Now for the variation, what was the variation again? It's a range. And range is the largest number, largest minus the smallest. And that will give you your range. Okay, and that's it for 8.1.